Welcome to Off Brand by Cocokinds. I'm Priscilla Tsai, Cocokinds founder and CEO, and each week I get into the real, unfiltered side of building a brand alongside our community and creating substantive beauty products. We don't believe in trying to be anyone but ourselves, and we don't think you should either. So come along as we get real and imperfect, go deeper on topics most beauty companies won't, and get a bit off brand. Okay, welcome to Off Brand, our Cocokinds podcast. I am joined today by Mimi Liu and Maria Maciejowski.
Oh, here we go.
Maciejowski, right? Wait, what did it say it?
Maciejowski?
Okay, that's exactly what I said.
That's 100%.
I should have just said I'm joined today here with Mimi and Maria. This is actually the third time that we're having guests on the podcast, or second time we're having guests on the podcast, but the first time we have Cocokinds teammates joining me on the podcast, but because people seem to love the conversational style, I guess they didn't want to just hear me talk by myself, but they really enjoyed that. So then there's a lot of comments like, oh, you should have, basically it's like a lot of nice ways of saying like, we don't just want to hear you talk and like, we want you to actually have conversations. So that's the feedback that we got after I did my podcast with my sister. So I thought that for Cocokinds team, we would have a discussion with Mimi and Maria. We spend a lot of time together because, well, I'll let you guys get into what you do specifically here at Cocokinds, but you are probably two of the people I talk to the most on a weekly basis. So I guess without further ado, do you guys want to introduce yourself? Okay, yep. Go ahead. Mimi, you go first.
Oh, I go first? Okay.
Again, the screen, and so yeah.
Okay, fine. So I oversee product development at Cocokinds, and when I first started in my career, like beauty was not on my radar whatsoever. It only happened when I actually got an internship with L'Oreal, where I got to really see the science behind everything, and I was in the R&D space, so getting to see not just like the science of how products were being made, but like the creativity and the art. It was where I really first fell in love with beauty. After I graduated, stayed on with them, learned about every single beauty category, and then moved on and shifted into not just like R&D, but into product development itself, where what I loved about that shift was really being able to still leverage my experience on the bench and formulating and working with chemists, but also being a little bit more front and center in terms of taking those translations with like marketing partners of what people were really asking and wanting for, and combining that in the product development process.
That's awesome. Very extensive. And it's so cool how you have that like R&D to PD path versus like just doing PD. I think that shines through a lot in how you go about it.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I feel like people might not know. What's the difference? Like, what's the difference between R&D to PD?
Oh, yeah. I feel like it's really different from brand to brand. And some brands, I think, right, like and I feel like you can get PD people that are both, right? Some might have a lot stronger marketing experience. Some maybe has more of that like R&D experience. And my experience at L'Oreal first for their PD team, it was very much like part of the marketing team. And part of the reason why I kind of wanted to shift over and not just be a part of R&D was because I was more removed from hearing like the customer insights or whatnot, and really just on the bench working on the directions that I was getting. And then if anything ever got canceled or changed, like I honestly had no rhyme or reason or understanding of why we were making the changes we were making. And so to me, being able to translate that over and like really get that customer insight. But yeah, I feel like it varies from brand to brand in terms of like where PD sits sometimes.
Can you explain what on the bench means?
Yes, it means like when you are a formulation chemist, it's literally like a lab bench where you have like your little mixers, your raw materials in front of you, and daily you are just batching and working on different product formulations, mixing it, seeing how it turns out, putting it up in like different, glass jars for stability, testing, all of that. So that's what I used to do for a good like 5 years at the very beginning of my career.
Awesome. Maria?
Maria Maciowski or just Maria because it's so much easier.
How long? There's like a J in there, so that's why I'm just saying,
There's a lot of letters in there. There's J's and W's and there's all kinds of stuff going on in the last name. So I usually am just like Maria's good or MM. And I think people probably see that because sometimes we share our internal Slack messages and there's like P and then MM.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's our shorthand. So I oversee marketing here, and for us, that is so many things. So it's community, it's brand, it's retail marketing, it's social, obviously. So just a lot of different things. And then obviously working really closely with this group here on product. So everything from what we should create, why we should create it, what our community is asking for, what they're not asking for, feedback that we get, and really rolling that into everything that we do. I've been in beauty for coming up on 22 years. So I started kind of freshly out of college. I actually interned before I started full time, but I interned at Tarte. I was there working out of the 1-bedroom apartment, which I think a lot of people have heard about that story. I was there for about like 7 or 8 years or so. And then from there, just moved to various different beauty companies. So everything from bigger companies like Johnson & Johnson to, smaller brands. My heart has always been with founder brands though, because I feel like that's where you truly get to do things that are just really feel limitless. You're closer to the customer. There is no set playbook. You can kind of create your own rules and then break those rules and try something different. So 22-ish years across skincare, cosmetics, hair, fragrance, devices, you kind of name it.
And how many beauty products would you say you use on a daily basis? Actually, I genuinely want to know how many beauty products you use, like skincare and as you do mostly skincare.
Yeah, I used to definitely do makeup every day, and that is like long gone. Like I definitely don't do that like at all. Today is a special day.
Yeah.
Today is a very special day. So I put some makeup on. I was like, oh, do I remember how to do that? So I do a lot of skincare. So every morning and every night, it's skincare and hair products too. I've got a lot of hair, so I got like a lot of hair products going on.
I've been trying to get more into hair stuff, but I mean that's a different conversation. But anyways.
Yeah, well, maybe we can all sidebar on that because I feel like we all got to huddle our hair knowledge these days of what the good products are. Because there's so much, I feel like there's so much newness and excitement in hair that I'm like lost. So, but on a daily basis in skin, I mean, I'm doing cleanse, like double, triple cleanse kind of thing. I say, a regular like wash cleanse at night. I don't actually wash my face in the morning because I find that to be too sort of stripping. So I only use like a face wash at night. But in the morning, I'm doing like micellar and then I'm doing pads. I'm doing 2 or 3 different essences and mists and toners. I've got 3 serums usually in rotation. I got 1 to 2 moisturizers, eye creams. I still use my peptide eye cream in the lab jar. Yeah. So I'm about halfway through my lab jar on that. So I've got infinite supply of eye cream and then balm, right? So my lip balms, which I'm just rotating throughout the day. So I'm using a lot of products every day.
And SPF.
Yeah. And I'm rotating different SPFs as well, just because I'm testing some things. But I definitely, I mean, SPF, I have to wear SPF, like full head to toe SPF. It just would like walk past the window, let alone be outside. Like I need SPF.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I just averaged like 15. I think you have 15 products in your skincare routine.
I'm a curious consumer of skincare.
Yeah. Mimi, what about you? How would you describe your like beauty consumerism?
I feel like I'm actually pretty basic, I think, in my skincare routine. Like Maria, like I don't cleanse my face in the morning. I just like rinse it with water. But at night I do double cleanse. And then I've been playing around with a lot of different toners. So rotate between toners and then different serums. And I think like also layering in, right, like any product that we're testing into that routine as well on a daily basis. And then let's see, after the serums, I don't think it's actually gotten cold enough yet for me to need a moisturizer per se. So like in the daytime, I actually go straight into like a tinted SPF. And then that's like all I need. And then I'll do like a little bit of blush and bronzer. And that's about it. I will say the one thing that like goes in and out of my routine that I'm so bad at and I really need to be better about is like eye. Like I'll remember to put on eye for like a week and then I'll forget for months and then be like, oh no, I got to do it again. So I'm trying to be better about my eye routine.
Totally. Yeah, you guys are, I feel like, you know how I always talk about how like I only use Cocokind because I really only use Cocokind. And we have like, we have like so many lab samples to try at any given point. Like seriously, I think we have like 4 products right now, or 3, at least 3. That it's like, we have to try this and we have to give feedback. We have to really absorb it into our routines and see how we feel about it. So it's exhausting. So I don't even know. I don't have room for other products, but you guys, I feel like you guys keep us in check because you always know like what's out there. You've tried so many different. Maria has tried literally every single product out there, so it's quite remarkable. Like there's always some like ability to compare, even if I'm not trying. Like I know that you can compare to like what's trending or what's out there and doing well.
I think it's
I
also
love it.
hard
I
to,
love testing products.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's
like,
the most fun.
Yeah.
And when you go in a store, you can't help but, even going in Target, like my poor family, if they're with me, like walking the aisles and really analyzing like every new thing that you see, or going into Ulta, same thing. Thankfully, my girls love it coming.
Yeah.
It is.
I think also there's like a misconception that we must have like the best looking vanities around. My thing looks like I have so many lab bottles.
Yeah. Yes.
Like it's not pretty. It's not like a shelfie, flat lay. It's it's like lab bottles everywhere. And I'm like, wait, which one were we trying? Okay, yeah, this one. And then I have like the pretty stuff, but the rotation is a lot of testing.
Yeah.
You know how people have those like minimal bathrooms? Like I am always so jealous. Like I want to be like that, but I am not like that at all. Like I always have stuff shit like everywhere, and it's like I wish I could just have like the clean bathroom counters with nothing on there. But even if I put things in the drawers, I just end up using them so frequently that like, it just like my bathroom counters are totally a mess.
And also, if I don't see it, like I will forget because there is a sea of things. So like I need everything there. Like it has to be within like I can grab it in a moment's notice. Like I can't dig in a drawer.
Yeah. Oh, but you know what one of my toxic traits are is that I'm like the person who like won't put the cap back on the toothpaste.
I don't like that.
No.
Then it gets all crusty.
It's like Brian is like so annoyed about that my whole life. Like I've never done that. So like you can imagine my bathroom, like it's like my eye creams and stuff, like like the caps are like elsewhere. Like they're not. So like I not only have the products, but like the other parts of the, products are just totally gone.
Yeah, like that's not my business where that cap goes after I take it off. I don't
know.
Not relevant.
Keep on is a revitalizing eye cream because that one has like the needle so that it like keeps it clear, so I keep that one, but otherwise everything else is missing.
I don't know why I do this, but I keep the unit curtains too for a while. I do. And yes. I don't know if it's a security blanket or whatnot, but like, I'm like, oh, in case I want to refer back to it, I just double check. So like, it sits on.
You're going to love the internet, Mimi, because it's all there. Like, I know.
I don't know.
What?
Physical sample and being able to look at all sides. So it takes me a while before I'm like willing to also recycle the unit carton.
I used to do
tactile learner.
Yeah, you realize that like literally everything is available on the internet. But that is a product developer's thing to do.
Yes, I even have a drawer of the ones I'm still not willing.
Oh my gosh, that escalated. You're like, I hold on to it for a while. I have a drawer. I have a drawer of cartons.
I actually have it on my calendar. Like next week, I'm doing a whole like lab sample cleanup.
Yes.
I have like not that much real, like, it's like I only have so many drawers in my bathroom. And so I have like all of it's covered by like lab samples and bulk, You know what I mean? Like, I just really need to figure that out to get myself some more space. But I wanted to introduce the topic that we're going to talk about today, but we should do a separate like beauty, I don't know, like beauty tips or like favorite products type of thing, even outside of Cocokind. I'd be down to share that. I especially want to hear from you guys. I don't really have any outside of Cocokind favorite products, but we should do that as a separate episode. And I should mention that we are going to do a separate episode on like how we develop like actually the process for developing products and like an extremely deep dive there, because people always talk about like, oh, this took us like 2 years or 3 years or 4 years to develop or 5 years, which I think is a little bit crazy. But that's I think like there's really a misconception of like what goes into product development, because it's like all you really hear about is time it takes, but amazing products can be developed in 1 year. It doesn't, and like really shitty products can be developed in 3 years. Like I actually, sometimes it can be true, but like there's so much that goes into product development. It's not just time, that leads to quality. Of course, having more time, we would all love, especially Mimi here.
Absolutely.
Yes, but today I actually want to take a step back and talk about how we decide what we're going to develop. And like that we call concepting, so product concepting, which is like a whole stage in itself. How long does it take us for? Well, I mean, it takes us. We're always product concepting, right, Mimi?
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know. It's just it doesn't stop, right? Like there is this phase of concepting, but then even as we go through development, right? Like different things come up or different thoughts or ideas. And so it's a constant process all the way through the end, I feel like, in terms of what we're thinking through.
What do you guys feel like is like, how do you guys think that product concepting happens for us? Because there's so many different, I mean, I think about like the individual products and I don't know, I feel like they all have come up in different ways.
Yeah.
How would you describe our product concept? Well, and I know we're changing, like we're establishing different processes now, but like I guess like historically, or just like even at your past companies, like how does like product concepting work?
Do you want the professional response?
No, I want
do you want the real?
Like
I have this like one example in my head.
No, not do the professional. I don't want the professional response. It's like a Slack at like 11 p.m. or something.
I love our Slacks so much, and our DMs and our like. I love it, and I'm not saying that like because it's something where it's like, wait a minute, is this weird or is this cool?
Yeah.
Or like, wouldn't it be cool if? And then we're off. But that's like any day, every day. Like, there's never a day that we don't think about something, whether it's an existing product, something in development, something totally new, because we read a comment or we get a DM or we get a customer service or we get, someone within our own team, or we have a life experience. So there's never a day that there isn't a concept some way. But I love the ones that are just out of nowhere.
Yeah. There's a lot of those. Like, I'm trying to think like, because we have like formal meetings, obviously.
Yeah, we are professionals.
We are professionals. But a lot of it does happen, like, I don't know, like off-road.
Yeah. It's a lot of off-roading.
Yeah.
It's a lot of off-roading. But it's like guided off-roading in a way, because it's not totally, some of them are they're just like ideas. But I do think there is a lot of, you read things or you hear things or you get reviews or you get this feedback, and then it all sort of swirls, and then you attach it to things, right, that you're working on or you're thinking about, or so it's not totally always just misguided or just out of nowhere. But I think it is, there are those moments where it's just like an interesting idea kind of pops up, and then we explore it. We just sort of like follow the thought.
Is there an idea in your guys' career, and it could be here too, at Cocokind? And actually, we should mention, Mimi, you've been here for 1.5 years, Maria for over 2 years, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels like longer than that, but you're like, yes, it does. But like, is there a concept either here or elsewhere that you're like, I like don't want to do that, or that's like, I don't like this concept, but you have to do it anyways, or like a concept that we talked about that was like too weird or too not possible? Mimi's like right now. But
Now, you know what? Okay, this is the one when you brought this topic up that like kept popping up into my head in terms of like different ideas, right? And it's the face tapes. Like,
yeah.
I'm really glad we did not go down that path as of yet.
Yeah. And we're not going to. We're done.
Okay.
We're done with that.
We're never done. Never over.
You never know. You can never really shut the door on an idea. I feel like, you know, who knows? It might come back around. But I think like for that one, like I think with the just looking at like the market trends and what was working, like, yes, I think idea wise, it was definitely worth exploring. But I am glad we kind of, after that exploration, decided not to move forward with it. Only because, you know, like sometimes the technology isn't totally there in terms of like what you're actually trying to do. So it's almost like trying to fit a square in a round hole sort of thing where you're just trying to force it too much. It's like it's not working. It, you know. So I felt like that is a good example. Plus,
Can you explain what that concept was, just so they know? What was that concept?
oh my god,
That was, it seriously feels like it was 7 years ago. And
right? And it definitely was not that long ago.
the year. Oh, I guess like, yeah, I guess we were even talking about it this January.
I feel like
yeah.
it was at the beginning of this year that we really explored it. And I mean, it was like the forehead tape,
Yeah.
the eye, I mean, the mouth. Oh, yeah, the neck and then the mouth. That one.
Reusable, though. I mean, we were, you know,
reusable, which is what made it difficult trying to do. And like, right, like the technology just isn't there for reusable yet. But
And just to be okay, so the whole thing with face tapes, it was like we wanted to put skincare underneath it for people to like sleep with these like face tapes with skincare underneath it, and for it to be reusable. So it wasn't like face tapes, like, oh, the face tape is going to get rid of your wrinkles, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah, not that.
That's what a lot of face tapes are saying now. They're like, put this on, and it like disappeared my like forehead lines. Like, what we weren't doing, it was like our face tape was like a face mask that was reusable and that you could sleep with. That so it needed that adhesive, and then it turns out that it wasn't that the adhesive.
It's not. It's really hard. Yeah.
We had a lot of flapping.
Oh my gosh. I remember the one meeting where we got all our samples in and we were all in the room.
We just escaped like an urgent care. Like I had a flap hanging off my neck. You had one off your forehead. Like it was a disaster.
You know what I remember? Like I had a really bad cold in January. And like, you know, my toddlers always bring home so many crazy germs. And so I like couldn't breathe out my nose. And we had to test this mouth tape. And so I'm like, it's like really, it's like sort of like dangerous. Like this is like dangerous experimentation. And like in the middle of the night, I would wake up and be like, screw this, and like just throw it on the ground. Because I actually kind of still believe in mouth tape in terms of the nose benefits, like breathing deeper sleep. Like I do kind of believe in that. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I'm like, it's just too much.
Maybe just not like when you're having sinus issues, like or something, you know, like if you need to be able to breathe easily.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're definitely putting it all on the line.
Yeah.
I remember that. You're like, I can't breathe through my nose right now.
I'm having a really hard time breathing. I forgot about that. So that was probably one of our wilder, you know, like
it was, yes.
It was a little bit out there. So we're not doing face tapes. And that came to us because of like, I think it was like trends, and also Target. I remember Target was like talking about it a lot, and they had asked us because of our reusable eye patches. You know?
Yeah.
Or just doing more face masks in general, you know, like there's so much desire for like the single use stuff. So we're like, oh, maybe we can do this in a reusable way. And I mean, the bottom line was that the adhesive would not be able to last more than like, I think it was like 7 times. Like we wanted to get to, but it was so much more expensive than like obviously the single use thing. So we'd have to at least get to 15 uses in order for it to economically make sense for people, and it wouldn't like stick. So it's like by day 7, it would be like falling off your face. Like you wouldn't be able to sleep with it.
Yeah. And what's funny is like the retailers loved the idea though.
They did. They did. They really did love it. But I've seen a lot more face tape in the stores, but all of them are single use. So they're not,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's gonna, I don't know.
It's hard to compete with that right now.
Yeah,
Reusable.
it's like
Yeah.
people buy like 60 face tape strips for like $5 or something.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, so that was crazy. Maria, any other crazy concepts here or elsewhere?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it was even like the crazy concepts at other places. It was the like, why are we doing this? You know, it's like the very like check a box, like, well, we launched something before, so now we need to launch something else now. And it's like when there really isn't like a rhyme or reason behind something, you're just like, gotta get something to market. And I hated that because it just was so uninspiring at times, and you're just like, all right, here's 12 lip liners, you know, like they're the same like as all the other lip liners. So that kind of stuff, I was just, you know, it's not the thing that's like getting you so like hype in the morning to like ideate or be like, okay, how are we going to market this, you know? And then you're just like trying to justify why it exists versus really being like, this is amazing and awesome, this is why you need it. You're just sort of like, yeah, no, this is great. Like, you should definitely get this lip liner versus like the 200 others. You know, it's just not as exciting.
Yeah. Well, you know how I'm taking this like cosmetic chemistry class? The professor in this class said something the other day, and I want to get your guys' reactions to it. But he basically was like, there's like no innovation in beauty. And he's like, there hasn't been innovation in this space in a long time. And I'm curious, like basically his point was that like, you know, the real ingredient innovation is not that significant. And that, yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. He's like, there's a limit to everything that skincare can do. And, you know, it's more about marketing like innovating for marketing than it is about actual innovation, which reminds me of like Mimi and I were in a meeting the other day with a raw material ingredient house. And like the salesperson was basically saying that like, we should use this X ingredient because it's a better marketing story than this other ingredient that's like way cheap. Because I was like asking like, why should we use this when there's another counterpart that's like definitely boring, definitely a commodity ingredient, but like way cheaper. And he was saying to us like, well, it's just a much better marketing story, even though it's like so much more expensive, which I don't subscribe to. But when this professor Perry was saying that like there hasn't been real innovation, like it really made me think, because I like that it was like he said it as like such a black and white statement, like there's no innovation in this industry. Like, how do you guys think about that in the context of like, yeah, we obviously are launching new products, like how do we think about like being innovative?
I feel like from his point of view, probably from maybe like a black and white, like raw material perspective, right? Like if you want a hydrating ingredient, like there's a lot of different options out there. They all can work along like similar types of mechanisms to get there. But I feel like when it comes to, I guess, more broadly innovation and what it is, like maybe not necessarily groundbreaking, but I do feel like there have been several steps along the way that have made options better, right? Like if we look at just like the movement of alternatives for ingredients, like silicones or even like polymers, and using like, you know, other natural type alternatives, like I would say 15 years ago, like you wouldn't have those options for you where you would get like a nice elegant sensorial experience. You would get something that's like super sticky or tacky, or, you know, trying to be silicone free. Like you couldn't replace that. And like there are more and more options to be able to kind of compete with what has been traditionally used in the past. So is it necessarily like groundbreaking? Like oh, you know, with his perspective, maybe not, but I do think there have been like ingredient technologies that have just like improved to keep up with, I think, especially like what people are demanding or expecting out of their product formulas and the ingredient list. We get a lot of people that, you know, ask us so many questions all the way down to like the source and where it's derived from for the ingredients. So being able to find alternatives for those sorts of people have been helpful. And I think that's where some of the innovation is as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say undeniably, like, to your point, maybe not groundbreaking innovation, but improvements for sure. So everything from what you're saying, but even just the entire experience, the texture, the application, like all of those things. Some of it has been going back and pulling from past, past trends, quote unquote, or past preferences. But there's definitely been, I think, refinements and changes that sort of follow suit with, I think they either follow suit with what customers or community are asking for. Then there are some that just exist to exist for the sake of being different.
Yeah.
And, you know, different points of view on that for sure that we could dive into at any point. But there's definitely been differences. I feel like just the like availability of options obviously is so different now than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I think there are so many improvements to be made, and I get it from a true like chemistry standpoint of like, I don't know, like the skin, what skincare has done. Like I get how it can seem like it's just marketing, like, and a lot of it is marketing,
Yeah.
but there are so many expansions of consumer preferences, and there's so much more knowledge of like skincare too. So with that, I mean, it's such an insanely robust industry. Like it's just moving so quickly and there's so many products. So you kind of have to like stay on it, and like new ingredients sometimes can help make a product cheaper to make or better feel or whatever it is. So like it is something that like I think there is room to innovate and to create better products, but I don't know. It's an interesting topic for sure. What would you guys say is like how we approach deciding to make something because people ask us to do it, or maybe not. Maybe not deciding to do it, even though people are asking us to do it. And then the other question I have for you guys is what do you think about how we're generally like later to a trend? I mean, I think that's like it's not a known fact, but it's like we're definitely not the first to do stuff generally or first to.
Yeah. I think we're proudly late.
Yeah.
The thing. Like
Yes. We're decently proudly late.
Well, it depends on what.
The phone.
If you're going to be late but better or late but different, proudly late.
Yeah.
Other reasons, maybe not.
Right.
But in the instances where, like lip, I think lip is a perfect example of that. Of course, we could have launched a lip balm before this year, 100%. But did the world need that? Did we need that? Did our community need that? Any lip balm? No, they needed what we brought, right? Which is having something that's really actually designed for sensitive skin and lips. And, looking at a very saturated market that is just like catering or not catering to that customer, but then also the, not having the uniqueness in the design so that you're not constantly losing your lip balms and then over consuming lip balms. I mean, there was a real point of view that and a real space that didn't exist. So of course, we could have been on time or part of a bigger lip balm boom, but we chose not to and really be intentional about it. So I feel like that's an example of being like proudly late.
Yeah. I don't mind it. I think like it just we've always said we're not the fastest in terms of product development, and I don't think it's like great to be fast. I think sometimes like every product development team has different processes, but fast is not something that we strive for. It's like we just know it's not realistic. Of course, there's some times where, of course, we want to be faster or we have certain deadlines we try to meet, but I don't think that in general, like fast should be a competency of smaller teams, smaller companies like us versus like a L'Oreal or something like that, where they have just endless amounts of like formulas that they're testing and this and that, and they have like this like speed to market demand, like it's just I don't think that independent beauty brands are built to be fast in product development. I don't know. Maybe that's a hot take compared to some other I know that there are definitely companies that like move very, very fast, but I don't know if it's a good thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's also, it comes back to kind of that balance or of that trifecta, right? Like you could always like play up the speed if you want, but does that impact like the quality or even the accessibility on the pricing, right? Like there's some sort of compromise you're always making, depending on what you prioritize. So I feel like with speed, like those other two with the quality, accessibility, like those are especially important to us. So I think also, right, that plays into why speed isn't necessarily always a competency that we are really focused or playing up on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, truly like our concepting, like it's so true. Like we've gone back and forth on concepts for a long time. Like that could take us like 6 months sometimes.
Yeah.
In development, obviously.
Yeah. But I mean, I think kind of going back to what Maria was saying before about like doing something that's uninspiring, like what I love about our process is the fact that we're not just creating like a, match this and just do it and put our name on it sort of thing. But when we're concepting, we're really thinking through like, okay, how does this work for our community? What sort of feedback are we taking in, and like how are we actually making this our own? Like why are we actually launching this product? So like just the thought and intention in our concepting process, I think, is very different than just trying to launch another product.
Yeah, totally. I also feel like we just like always think about the like because we explain so much to consumers and our community. So it's like I don't know. It's like just when we know that we're going to be explaining all these things, you develop with that in mind, right? Like you develop how is like every single ingredient contributing to what we're educating on, like what the purpose of this product that we're putting out there. So it is like it's obviously a tougher standard, but it takes time. It takes more time to actually get there. And I think that I don't know. At the same time, like when I see brands talk about like, oh, it took us like 3 years to develop this or 4 years. Like, I don't know that I think is unrealistic. That I think is actually just like, it's like, okay, you had an idea and like 6 months later you revisited the concept. When I hear companies talk about the 3 year, like 4 year product development, like you're not actually actively developing products for 4 years.
No.
Like what product would take 4 years to that would have to be the most, I mean, maybe for the most like innovative specialty packaging plus the most insane test. I don't know, right?
You can cut this out later, but the reality is like a lot of the bigger companies are doing like 3-year strategy reviews. And so someone's putting on a pipeline that 3 years from now, we're going to launch XYZ product. They're not doing the development work. They're not like doing this like primary research on raw materials and doing all this stuff. They're, okay, in 3 years, we got to launch something in this category to comp this sale. Like, but they're not actively developing during that time. That's my experience.
Yeah, like when I was at L'Oreal, like I did also later on after I like moved on from R&D, like I did intern more so on the marketing side, but they have this group that purely focuses on, I would say, like 24 plus months out. Like they're not looking at any of the short-term stuff. And it was really just more so like different topics or areas to focus on. So like I feel like maybe they're capturing some of that stuff into, the numbers that they're pulling together. Or even if you have the bigger like companies like the L'Oreals or the Shiseidos, like the ones that also do get involved in raw material work, there are special R&D groups where, again, their job is not actually pipeline work. All they're doing is like research on these different ingredients and, oh, what can I play around with? And does this make sense? And so if they lump those numbers into, it then goes into the group that actually works on actual pipeline, you can probably add those up and kind of get a interesting number from that.
I mean, that I actually think is legit though. Like if you are like, if you're a part of, that's the benefit of working at a L'Oreal. And that's why, frankly, they should be launching a never heard before ingredient, right? Because like, yeah, if they have an R&D team that they have like fully resourced and they're researching like whatever ingredient it is. They're the first to pioneer it. They're doing all this testing on it. Like they have the resources to do that, not an indie brand like
Not
us.
at all.
And I think that is like totally legit. If you want to add that to product development timelines, I think for most like just independent brands, like I think even for us, like we had like when we launched our first SPF, we had talked about how it took 3 years to develop. And yeah, it did, but it wasn't like it was because we had like so much failure. Like it wasn't because it was like we had like a good thing going and then it was like, oh, we're just like tweaking it and perfecting it. It was like we tried to work with one manufacturer to create one. It just like was not working. And then we had to like find another one. And then it was like, then we had to start all over and then do that. And then like, you know, change this and change the whole brief. Like, so it wasn't like a smooth process. Yeah. It took us a long time, but it wasn't because we were like, just like perfecting and nonstop perfecting. It's like, no, we had to like literally start over during that time period. And I think like our first brief was like, it might have been for like an anhydrous SPF or something like that. Cause you know, back in the day when we were doing like only like very, you know, like 5 ingredients or something like that. So yeah, like it just took us a while to get to the right concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting point to like next time see like 3 years of development, just be like, why?
Yeah.
Can you explain that? Like break that down.
Also, the world, okay, so like just so people know, when most companies will do some sort of exercise on like a 3-year development pipeline. We actually currently don't have a 3-year pipeline. But you know what? I'm fine with that because like the world changes so much, right? Like who knows what the Cocokind world will look like in 3 years? Hopefully like thriving and crushing it in all the different ways. But like, I don't know. And what if like X product takes off and then like, it's like, I don't like, what if this ingredient becomes like, nobody wants to use it anymore, or this ingredient becomes the next, but like, who knows what it looks like? So sometimes like doing a 3-year pipeline, it's like, it's so much work. And then you're like, 2 years from now, you're like, wait, I don't want to do that at all.
Yeah. Well, I think that's valid because if you get so locked into something, now we're back into that, like, okay, now I have to make this happen. I have to make this work. I have to, you know, versus no, there's a real reason, you know? Yeah. So I think if it's like, nope, we're locked in. We said that this is it. This is the 3-year pipeline and we can't deviate from it. Then now you're marketing to people. Like you must use this. This is why I believe you really need it versus like actually being like, we heard you, we saw this, like there's real justifiable reason. But I think the reality is that a lot of brands don't have that transparent conversation with their audiences and their community. Right. So it is just this one way push of like, this is what it is. This is why you must use it. You need it versus we do have the like, okay, here's our thinking. Like we lay all that pretty bare and like have an honest conversation. So we're not like marketing it, we're explaining.
Yeah. Also, I would say that we ask ourselves a lot of questions and critical questions and sometimes annoying questions. Like I'm sure Mimi gets a lot. She's gotten a lot of annoying questions. Like, should we wait? Like we're like 9th inning and I'm like, should we really be doing this? Or like, should we be doing this instead of this? Like, wait, have we thought about, and there's just like this checkpoint along the way. Product development teams, we get so tunnel vision and we were working on something for so long. You could be in a situation where a year and a half in something, you shouldn't be doing something, but you've just invested so much into it that it's so hard to stop and check yourself, you know?
And I think the part where it's hard to stop or, you know, sometimes like we try to pivot when we can, but I think the hard part is also like those looming commitments sometimes that like also add to that. So really having that like sit down moment of real talk, like, okay, what are we really doing here? Does that make sense? Like those are hard to have, like when you've been kind of like, you know, moving towards this goal, but yeah, so necessary.
Yeah. I mean, I think just so people know, it's like I think our customers can really have comfort when we launch something that like it's gone through like annoying amount of questions. Like it's gone through like of like, should we really be doing this? Is this really what we wanted? Is this really performing? Is this, you know, are we marketing it the right way? Are we communicating the right way? And again, should we really be doing this? Like it's just really like come up a lot. Even though it's annoying and adds time. And sometimes we end up taking write downs and we we lose money on various points because we're like, shoot, we need to change something, and we have that checkpoint. So I think we actually need to be doing that more.
Right. And sometimes we just walk away from something.
As we walk away. Yeah.
Yeah. Which it's, I think, uncomfortable for a lot of companies and brands to say we've invested time and resource and whatever, but too bad. Like it doesn't make sense, or we don't feel good about it. And just to fully say like, no, we're just not doing it. We have done that.
Oh yeah. And face tapes.
Face tapes.
But we've also done that on like really deep, like skincare products too. There's one product now that we're developing that, like, I swear it's like a thought that pops up, but it's not because I love it so much. Like we have to make it work, but it's so ambitious. And it's like, I definitely have like, thoughts like that of like, should we give up? But I don't want to, like, we're not going to give up, but
yeah. Well, it's interesting going back to your question, right? Because there are the things that people have asked us for. Like I would say like electrolyte water cream. Like people had been asking us for a lighter weight moisturizer, and we sort of took that in and, looked at how we could make that, different and unique and for our community, like something that would really benefit them. Then there's other things like maybe what you're talking about. Like we're not necessarily being asked for it, but we just see the need because we are so our consumer.
yes.
Are like we are that person. And so when we are all like that, we really would love this.
Yeah.
No one's thinking about that or asking, but we're doing it anyway. And that's scary.
Yeah, it is scary. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, and nobody's doing it. Nobody's asking us for it. Like I think that's a scary thing too.
Like, is there a reason why?
Is there a reason why? It's a legitimate question.
We're going to find out.
Yeah, we will find out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to do a separate podcast where we talk about like development and like all the stages, because there's so much there that we do talk a lot about, especially on my TikTok videos and such, but not nearly like, I'm only like scratching the surface. Like there's so much there. I was even thinking about doing a TikTok later about like the difference between creating something in the lab versus scaling up, because people think that it's just like, oh, you created a formula, then you make it. It's like that it can, because I was thinking about Resurrection Polypeptide Cream and the differences and the challenges we saw with that product with scale up. But anyways, like there's just so much to discuss with like product development and even product manufacturing. So we'll do a follow-up with this crew, but really appreciate you guys joining. And I hope everybody enjoyed the conversation. I heard you loud and clear. You don't want to hear just me. At the end, our team was like, oh, like when you talk with your sister, that was really nice. Like it just having that like conversation. I'm like, I get it, Kathy.
Well, kudos to your sister too. That was a really great episode. It was fun. And I think it's I love feeling like I'm eavesdropping on someone's conversation.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was really nice. So maybe you have to have her back for another one if she signed up for it.
Yeah, sure. We've got plenty to say. Okay, well, we'll have you guys back too. Thank you for joining, everyone, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.